maybe the most important thing that happened today in terms of a data point was on Morning Joe with my friend Joe, with Zeke Emanuel, who's an expert in this area. He's a doctor and expert in this area. He's a partisan Democrat, but he spoke truth this morning about the president's condition and raised a lot of attention and suspicion because of his view of what the chronology must be, or almost certainly is. Number 5, please.
You're an oncologist, obviously incredibly respected. You believe that it is likely, just for those just tuning in, you believe it is likely, if this prostate cancer has spread to the bone, that he could have had it for up to a decade, but certainly it's likely. Would it be fair to say it's likely to have had this for at least several years?
Oh, more than several years. You don't get prostate cancer.
So again, I just want to stop you. So this is not speculation. If you have prostate cancer that is spread to the bone, then he's most certainly, you were saying, had it when he was president of the United States.
Oh, yeah. He did not develop it in the last 100, 200 days. He had it while he was president. He probably had it at the start of his presidency in 2021. Yes, that I don't think there's any disagreement about that.
So even though that occurred almost exactly 12 hours ago, it's still being widely quoted. There's some doctors who have dissented at least a little bit maybe from that, but it's significant. And I'm going to ask our guests about it in a second. I want to show you one more thing, and it pertains to one of the other strands, which is the book. This is a tweet from one of the President Biden's granddaughters, Naomi Biden, number 7. Michael, real quick, just tell people the role Naomi plays in the family.
She's the oldest grandchild. She's the most, probably the most outspoken, most visible grandchild of the Bidens. I like her a lot. I don't tend to fault the grandkids for coming to the defense of their grandfather. Yeah. He's also had to, experience the sort of humiliation and degradation of her father being weaponized, and she was always very, defensive of him as well.
She's Hunter's daughter, not Bo's.
Yes, she's the oldest grandchild, but she's the oldest daughter of Hunter's 3 daughters.
Yeah. All right. So here's her tweet. Some of you can read it, but she says the book is, the Tapper Thompson book is political fairy smut. Gentlemen, is that a term of art that I don't know, or is that something she made up? Fairy smut?
Points to her for being original there, I think.
Yeah, okay. I think it is. I'm going to Google it later. She says the book is political fairy
careful.
smut.
I may do that in an incognito window. If you,
yes,
I
hear you.
She's a lawyer, so she's a good writer. So
yeah, I may start using that phrase. Why don't you get out of here with your fairy smut? The permanent professional chattering class, the ones who rarely enter the arena but profit from the spectacle of those that do. Put simply, it amounts to a bunch of unoriginal, uninspired lies written by irresponsible, self-promoting journalists out to make a quick buck. It relies on unnamed, anonymous sources pushing a self-serving false narrative that absolves them of any responsibility of our current national nightmare. All of this at the expense of a man so completely good and honest that it is impossible for these people to ever understand the why or how of it all. There are real stories to be told, and one day they will be. I suspect history will reward the truth. So, Mark, I don't
the old Castro history will absolve me.
Yes, I don't want to put you in a position if you're uncomfortable defending your colleague, but I don't think the book is false. I think my criticism of the book largely is that it's incomplete, particularly in its failure to hold the media accountable. But first, I want to go to Michael. Michael, it seems, based on what Dr. Emanuel said and what other doctors have said, that there's very little doubt that Joe Biden has had this for a while. So the range of possible facts is, one, that he's known for a while he had it and it was covered up and not disclosed, which would be a pretty egregious violation of the public trust, or that the Bidens decided not to have him be tested for reasons I still don't quite understand, because most of the reasons someone his age wouldn't get tested don't apply to Joe Biden. So based on your knowledge of the Bidens, do you have a sense of how this could have happened?
No, I don't know how. I agree with you. I don't know why he wouldn't have been tested, other than I heard Zeke say some men in their 70s either aren't offered or don't need it because of that age.
As I understand it, and we have some doctors on here who will help us later, but
okay.
it seems like they don't do it for some 70-year-olds because they'd rather not know, or didn't quite understand the
That's
explanation.
what I don't know either. But I'm going to get to the root of the question that I think you're
Yeah.
trying to ask.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I was on Fox News yesterday morning, and they asked me about some of this stuff, and I tried to explain it in that on day one of the White House, I started to notice. I'm talking literally walking into the door. The usher was fired, the Trump usher. Now, we don't know who fired him, and there were a lot of reporters asking. I still don't know to this day whether we fired him or whether they fired him and why.
Who would they be?
The Trump team, and if he was fired, we don't know why he wasn't fired long before.
Yeah.
But then very, very quickly, Dr. Biden was apparently, according to Jim Acosta, who reached out to me, this is maybe 2 or 3 days into the White House, that he had heard a tip that Dr. Biden was going to lead the effort for family reunification. That was news to me, but apparently it was true, and I still couldn't get answers. And the way I'm explaining this is that they never want to give a yes or a no, and they never want. What I'm trying to tell you, and then we go on to the dog bites a couple months later with the Secret Service, and nobody could get me answers to give to the press. So what I'm saying to you is that they were so allergic to transparency about the smallest things that it always made me very nervous about what they would do when the big things came up. They did get caught lying about coverage of the wedding. I believe Ashley Parker and Katie Rogers both have quotes that I screenshotted at the time on Twitter saying both White Houses have lied. This White House lies, but they're just too cute by half when they do it. And the answer was they always tried to hide the ball when they didn't have to. They always tried to come up close to the line, and I used to always fight against it. And, I was being accused of being too close to the press. Well, no, it's that if you're just transparent and you just get it out there, the news cycle moves fast enough that really nobody cares. And it's the best thing for you in the end. Yeah. But they lived in a bunker mentality. And so everything to them was theirs. They didn't want to hear that holding a wedding at the White House was not what was part of public domain. No, it was private. It was a private. Well, no, it's not private. It's on a national monument. It's on the taxpayers pay for that house. If you want a private wedding, go to Camp David or go to Rehoboth. They thought everything was private. They did not want to share anything of the Bidens with anybody. And those were the people who really did the Bidens a disservice when it came to these decisions. And I'm breaking it down in very small, maybe trivial to some people, but that was the culture and that was how they approached everything.
That was a delicious video experience. I think you'll agree. Now, what you need to do in return for getting to enjoy that is hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss a thing.